My son is doing a lot better. He's on his way to complete his community service and attending anger management classes as directed by the court. He lives in the same house with me now. I encouraged him to move from where he lived and move in with me so I can employ him in my business. I employed him to the company I run with 2 business partners. My son has a serious girlfriend and he's hoping to get married to her soon. They are so in love, and I can't help but wonder how that was me before I got married to my ex-wife. Women could be a blessing or a curse to your life, and to me, she was a curse. The only good thing out of it was my children. On a serious note, I thought my lawyer wanted me to wait till the final divorce decree before I could turn in the evidence, but apparently holding on to it would sooner get me in trouble. And until now, I haven't looked at the details of the documents, so I turned in all the evidence I had to my lawyer after our meeting. I looked through some of the copies before I handed it to him. I read it and what I saw was shocking. It includes tax documents, tax returns, property documents, receipts, government grants, legal documents, bank statements, and etc. She started working with him in early August 2012. However, she had records from up to 2010 of donations he collected but never used the funds for the intended purpose. He wasn't only claiming to be offering aid to some people in Pakistan, he was also claiming to be offering aid to people in India as well. There was also a year-to-year tax return documentation of federal grants in the sum of $5,543 in 2010, $4,010 in 2011, $32,000 in 2012. My wife joining him in 2012 contributed to significant increase that started in 2012, $51,100 in 2013, $62,030 in 2014, $72,000 in 2015, $150,000 and one in 2016. My wife joining his criminal organization has been a windfall. Oh, there's more. The sum of $111,000 in 2017, $11,000 in 2018, all tax exempt. I didn't know the government give out this much money in grants to non-profit organizations. 2018 was when my wife claimed his business was shady and broke things off with him. She would later reconcile, and I'm curious to know why she changed her mind to come back to him. The fraud did not stop. The evidence from the document shows that it was business as usual. I doubt that she was that naive not to realize that he was running a scam. Before joining his organization, she had over 8 years of experience working with charity organizations, and she was responsible for doing his taxes. And the worst part is that the funds I mentioned above were federal grants, all Uncle Sam's money, and I haven't even gone through the individual donation section. That was where my ex-wife showed her talent. She hosted charity events for this man at least twice a month. She commingled legitimate non-profit funds with a scam and made his fraudulent organization appear legitimate. Through her network, she was able to connect him with wealthy friends who weren't aware of his scams. I couldn't believe she would do this to us. My name is all over the document with forged signatures. I was going through the documents wondering what would possess my wife to do this. It's not money. It can't be money because we had enough. I always gave her what she asked. Moreover, I too was a victim in all this because I donated over $40,000 for the 7 years my wife worked with him. They have a quota to meet each year, and over the years, she pressured me to donate. Subsequently, on the tax return documents, total individual donation for 2010 was $7,010. $6,001 in 2011, $112,000 in 2012, $130,000 in 2013, $141,000 in 2014, $121,010 in 2015, $152,001 in 2016, $161,001 in 2017, $11,030 in 2018. There were pictures of mansions he owns in Pakistan. In the States, he owns 3 family homes, 2 duplex rental, and 1 medium-sized apartment that he owns. I am guessing he used the ill-begotten gains to purchase the properties. Evidence of commingling funds from business accounts to personal accounts. He also owns a car dealer license, which he used to buy cars at auctions and shipping them to Pakistan and India. He hired service of my logistic company to ship his cars. There were a lot more information that implicated me because my wife forged my signature, and I don't want to get into it on this forum. I was afraid after looking at the specifics of all the documents. They say that if you're innocent, what should you be afraid of? And the simple answer is that I'm afraid of how deep this fraud may go. I may not be seeing the full picture. The scariest part is that I have been living with the enemy for so long that I don't know how much she had incriminated me. I have no doubt in my mind that she will hang me to dry instead of her affair partner. If she was willing to play along with him and allow herself to be a slave to this man, helping him to build wealth illegally at the expense of her husband's freedom and the livelihood of her children. Since our divorce agreement, although our divorce has yet to be finalized, I have been ignoring her calls and text messages. But after going through all this evidence, I wanted some answers. I wanted to speak to her badly. I wanted to ask her why she betrayed her family for this man. What did she saw in him? What did he promise her? Those questions were eating me away, but I knew I had to keep my mouth shut. We were in uncharted territory. What those documents revealed to me was that I have no idea who my wife was. I have trusted her long enough to rub me blind. My lawyer called me the following day after going through the documents. He told me that I was in serious trouble if the authorities find out about Ahmed's crime before I revealed it to them. They would think that I was a co-conspirator. Previously, we were hoping that we would spare my ex-wife jail time if she would testify against Ahmed. But now my lawyer was telling me that I may be incriminated as well. He said that they may already be investigating him right now without us knowing. He wanted us to report it as soon as possible so we could get ahead of the game. I haven't been so terrified in my life. It began to dawn on me that I could lose everything. She has taken almost half in divorce settlement. Now, what have I done to deserve going to jail? Is it a crime to be a good husband? I provided for her everything she wanted. Maybe I failed her as a husband, but I was a good dad and a good provider. I don't deserve what she's putting me through. I didn't hear anything from my lawyer for 3 days. He called me on the 4th day and said that I have been scheduled for an interview at the district attorney's office. Although he would be present during the interview, we were to rehearse before the appointed day. On that day, I dressed up and went with my lawyer. They asked me all sorts of questions. After about 4 hours and 21 minutes of interview, they told me that they would verify the information that I have told them before they would clear me. I was also requested to submit some financial documents to clear me so they can expedite the investigation. Although they tried to give me assurances that I wasn't going to be charged, they still left a window for them to do so. They promised in writing that I wouldn't go to prison. At least that would be their recommendation. But ultimately, the judge will make the final call. I went home nervous as hell. I wanted to talk to someone, but who would I speak to? Only my lawyer. A big shoe is about to drop on my family. My God, the embarrassment, the shame. Everyone will know what we've been hiding in our closet. My private life will be all over the news. How would that affect my business? What would my business partner think about me? I was sure that this would be the end of me. Even after I survived this, how would people look at me? How would they ever look up to me? Would they still listen to my advice? How could I be so blind all these years? 2 days later, I was still restless. So many questions unanswered. I wanted to talk to my son, but I was afraid that his impulsive nature would cause him to react unpredictably. Against my better judgment, I called my ex-wife to schedule a meeting at a public park. I wanted to get her side of the story before the shoe drops. I wanted to take a look at her in the eyes now that I hold all the cards. She didn't know that I made copies of those documents that she tried to hide. I was late to the meeting because I was trying to make sure that I properly concealed the audio recorder so I could record our conversation. I haven't seen her since she moved out months ago. When I saw her at the park bench sitting and waiting for me, I noticed she had gained a lot of weight and looked a lot older. She got up and tried to hug me, but I waved her to sit down. I sat across her as she slowly sat down like a rattled puppy. She told me that I've looked good and asked me how I've been doing. I told her that I've been doing okay, and she asked me how our son was doing. She's in contact with my daughters, but not my son. I told her that he was doing good, and that he now have a serious girlfriend, and they're hoping to get married soon. She immediately got excited. She said, "Great," but I told her that I hoped that he had better luck in a wife than his old man did. That took the smile out of her face real quick. I saw her face frown when I said that, but I didn't care. When she saw that I wasn't fazed by her reaction, for probably the first time, the mask came off. She apologized for destroying our family. She admitted that she was wrong for having an affair and regretted that she didn't accept marriage counseling back in 2019 when I offered it. She told me that she wanted me to know that she broke things off with Ahmed. I responded that it's too late for that, and she could carry on the affair if she likes. She's not the prize now. I am in great shape and mentally focused, more than I have ever been in my life. She got upset saying that I shouldn't be mean to her, and that she came to this meeting in good faith, and I have been throwing mud at her since she got here. All I could think about at that moment was that she had no idea what was coming for her. I didn't want to argue with her. Enough BS, enough small talk. I went straight to the meat and potatoes of what I was there for. I told her that I couldn't help but notice that she removed the evidence of Ahmed crimes months ago, and I asked her why she did so. She was caught off guard by the question, and then she responded that there were a lot of private information that would have been against the law if she shared it. That didn't make sense, but I played along. I asked her why she didn't give me the details of the shady business that Ahmed was doing back in 2019 when she temporarily stopped working with him, and she told me that she didn't want to get me involved. She's not aware that I know that she's been forging my signature on the documents, but I played aloof. I didn't want to spook her by telling her that we are under investigation. Who knows? Maybe she's still in contact with Ahmed and would alert him so he would flee the country. I asked her again why she continued the fraudulent non-profit business with him, knowing that he was defrauding people. I played to her ego by telling her that she was smarter than that, and how could she allow herself to betray her family and children, all for a man that promised her the privileged position of being his second wife. Does she know how many scams he's running? Does she know whether he's doing it with other women as well? I asked her what if she continues to do this scam and get caught? Is she willing to go to jail for him? She just kept quiet, staring into space. Then tears fell down her eyes, and she wiped her nose. She said she had suspected he was scamming people, but she refused to believe it. She said his story was convincing, but when she found out that it was all a lie, she broke it up with him, but he threatened to expose their affair. I responded that exposing her affair is not enough for her to continue defrauding people with him. She interrupted me by saying that he not only wanted to expose the affair, he also wanted to expose the tape and pictures. I asked her what tape and pictures, and she said that during their affair, they began taking raunchy videos and pictures of themselves doing sex acts. I was shocked. This is not the same woman that I know. I thought she was a unicorn. I was her first after all. I told her that she wasn't that kind of person. I remember trying to convince her to take pictures of herself and send to me when I traveled and missing her, but she would never do it. When we were young and active, she wouldn't even allow me to turn on the lights during intimacy. Now I'm finding out that she's making tapes with this guy. Where did I go wrong? Why did she hate me so much? I asked her these questions, and she said that she had no answers for me on that. And she refused to do it at first, but he was persistent and didn't take no for answer. And once she gave in, he started doing it all the time, and then she just accepted it. So to confirm, I asked her if she came back to him because he planned on leaking the tape and pictures. She said yes, at first, but then she fell back in love with him. She said it wasn't about the sex, but the excitement that she has never experienced. She said that she's been talking to a therapist. Maybe it's because she never experienced someone else but me. She was reserved during her upbringing, and when she found a man that was different, she fell heads over heels, which she now believed was childish and a phase that has passed, and that she lost everything she loved because of it. I was married to this woman for more than 26 years. She had never shared her deeper emotions like she shared with me on that park bench. I tried to force myself to have compassion for her or to feel sorry for her like I would before, but there was nothing there. All I could think about was that maybe this is another lie she was telling me to manipulate me, and it's working. We had a 3-hour-long conversation before we called it a day. I hugged her and told her to take care of herself before we went our separate ways. All this time, I kept blaming myself, calling myself a bad husband. But after that conversation with her, I found out that there was nothing wrong with me. She was just a narcissist, a sadist, a good girl body but a bad mind, a middle-aged woman probably going through menopause and fantasized to be treated as a slave and used. Maybe that was who she was all along, and it has been suppressed by her upbringing, only for her to unleash it on me. I turned in the tape recorder to my lawyer, and he gave it to the investigators to clear my name. About a month later, my lawyer called me a few hours before Ahmed and my ex-wife got arrested. They were both charged with money laundering, conspiracy, and scamming to defraud the government and private donors. If convicted, they face 5 to 15 years in prison. Ahmed was not released from bail because he was considered a flight risk. My ex-wife, however, was released because she had enough money from our divorce to post bond. As expected, it was a sensational news. It spread like wildfire and people ate the story up. It had everything to make a good drama, and the shame is on me and my family. A lot of people look at me differently, and I don't care. All that matters to me is those that love me. This has made me a changed man. I no longer put myself out there to help people or to be generous. My business is still doing great, and my business partners were there to support me all through it all. The DA's office and my lawyer says that the case is a slam dunk, and my ex-wife is for sure doing some time and paying some restitution. Ahmed, on the other hand, will get the maximum, and I hope he does, but who knows? The case is still being litigated in court.